Welcome back, everybody. So this is the week 3 of the loss run data analysis project. Just one second, I want to turn this into a table here real quick. This one deserves. I should try that. So I'm picking up where we left off last week. Actually, correction. I'm picking up where we left off after the Thursday help session that we did online. Fix this real quick. And in that session, what I did is I just kind of showed you how to bring over or make these tables and figures look good for the weekly submission, the weekly progress update. And so this is the company-wide stats for forecasting and annual averages, and we'll be doing this. And this was new. You probably didn't see it last week. This is something I noticed during class. So what we're going to do this week, I'm kind of excited where we are right now. Here's the assignment for this week. So I'm going to do 2 videos. In this first video, we're going to prioritize the where. Where should we focus? And we've got 2 variables that are key to that. One is plant, 2 is class code. It'd be nice if we could use job title, but I think we're missing somewhere around 15 to 20% of them, and it's just not good enough. So we'll have to go by class code. One recommendation we may want to make is, could we get a more accurate reporting of their job title for future work comp claims? That's one thing. In the second video, we're going to evaluate the cause code and the detailed cause. What's interesting is, and if you look at previous work I've done in this class, typically what we have is a detailed cause, which they just call usually source. And then we have to create a new cause code, which kind of condenses it, more of a parent code. But in this data set, for whatever reason, they've got it set up for us. And so we're actually eliminating a pretty big step for this week. But, and it's a big but, and I cannot lie. I do want you to write a good portion of your technical report for this week. Do the best you can. On this coming Thursday's class, I'm going to try and provide you with my breakdown of what I would want to see, what I would write for a technical report, given what we currently know. In addition to that, in class on Tuesday, I'm going to do a deeper dive into work comp. And we will be looking more at the WCRB, specifically the class code rates for this week. And secondly, we'll be looking at the lab of hygiene. That doesn't sound right. It's the state hygiene lab, excuse me. And they've got, this should be 2020. Let's fix that right now. We'll be looking at the 2020 numbers. I must have saved my work when I was updating this. I'll have to make sure it's right on the website. Okay, so that's what we're going to do these 2 first. What's great is I'm going to teach you to use pivot tables. I'm going to teach you to calculate risk priority number and then sort by it. And then we're going to use the Pareto ratio to figure out the cutoff. Let me repeat that. I'm going to teach you how to use pivot tables. And we're doing that just to capture the variables, the range of variables. And then I'm going to teach you to use risk priority number in order to rank order the variables. And then we're going to use the Pareto ratio analysis to figure out where the cutoff is. So you're going to want to cover that in your method section. So let's see. I would like to start with, the policy year trend because the outliers are included. And copy, bring it over to a new tab. Okay, everything's there. I'm going to move the tab to the end here, and this is going to be plant. Plant, outliers included. You can put that however you want. Okay, let's zoom in a little bit. Like I said, once we get this built, it actually makes things a lot easier. Or do I want that? Want that, or do I want to do it this way? I am going to well, first of all, I don't need these here for this new tab. I'm going to do it the hard way. I'm just going to push forward, get this done. Okay. All right. So So the next thing we're going to look at is the plant, and we're going to do count, percent count. So it's going to jog over the table a little bit. So our plant is B, column B, excuse me. Well, I'm just trying to do a little bit of housekeeping here, making sure we do it right. Okay, eventually we can add more space later if we need to. I'm just going to put it, so this is going to be the count. This is going to be the percent count. Percent count is our representation for probability in the risk priority number. And then we're going to do the pays. I'll just copy this and bring it down. We're going to do a percent count. Percent total paid, I should say, or paid total. Okay, I could have put total pay. I don't know. It's the same thing, right? You guys get it? Then we're going to do average per claim. And then we're going to do the risk priority number. And then we're going to do our rank. This is going to be plant. And we know that's column B. Column B. This is column U. Column V. That may change if we add or change something, but for right now, that's what we got. All right, let's make these smaller. And you wouldn't include what I'm putting on top here in your table. This is just for us, just to kind of keep things in order. Let's make sure these are all the same and looking good. So Arial 10. Okay, this could be a little bit wider. All right, so plant. So we've got M for Madison, P for Poinet, and O for other. And then we've got the total. The reason that I am keeping it and not writing in what it is I could put it just right here. When I do the counts, I'm going to be using that cell. And so that's what. All right, so Pareto's not going to work real well with this. This is more of a, Pareto will come in on the next one. Get all this set up. Okay. All right, let's do this. I can narrow this a little bit. So count is equal countif. That's the equation we're using. Parentheses. Now we got to name a range and a criteria. It's B2. Colon B. When does it go down to again? 206. I had to check. 206, comma, and what do I want it to count? I want to click on the M if it lets me. It did. Cool. Hit return. So we got 62. Remember, I have to freeze the rows. So when I click and drag it, it doesn't take it with it. I mean, I'm just doing it for 2. Equal sum. I'm going to add these up, and I hope it equals 205. Yep, good. So everything's covered. Percent count is equal to the number here divided by, and I always type it in. I'm just going to type in 205. Turn it into a percentage. Center it. Drag it down. So this is the breakdown. We already knew this, okay? Didn't we? Or maybe we didn't. Excuse me. My nose is really running this morning. So that's our breakdown. Now let's do these. This is the sum if equal sum if. And first we're going to designate the first range, which is the plant. So B2 to B206, right? Comma, what's the criterion? The thing that's in this cell. Comma, and then we want it to add up U2, where the streets have no name, and 206. I'll turn that into... I'm making references to songs that came out in the 90s, and you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about. This is currency, get rid of the pennies. So now we have to manipulate this, and I like doing this one. So first of all, we do not want the initial range to change at all as we go up and down. I'm sorry, go down and right. So I'm going to freeze the whole thing. For the row that has the column that has the plant thing that has to, we want it to go up and down. We don't want it to go left and right. So we just freeze the column, the R. For the other one, we want it to go left, but we don't want it to go up and down, so we freeze the rows. That's the logic, and I'm sticking to it. There. Let's add them up, see if we're right. And what I can do is compare it to these totals here, which is equal to these totals here. Checking my work, okay? And everything looks copacetic. We're gonna do the same percentages where we click on the total and divide it by, and I type in 1308130. I need that as a percentage. Let's center it, drag it all the way down. Okay, there's the breakdown. So here's the percent count, here's the percent total paid. You can see there's some similarity there, though it looks like the other, its paid amount is considerably higher for what it's representing. It's basically 3 times that. That is slightly less, that is slightly less. Interesting, right? Let's get the average per claim. This is overall. We know the average isn't great, but we're going to calculate it because it's easy and fun. So I take the total divided by the count. Get rid of the pennies. Drag it all the way down. So is 63.81 our average? It is. There it is. We can look up here and look there too. All right, so now what we want to do is calculate the risk priority number. The risk priority number is column T times column percent here X. That looks terrible. I'm going to take that out. So that's what it is. So we go equal, and we take this cell, and we multiply it times this cell right here. That's our risk priority number. And you're like, oh no, it's all hashtags. Just make it wider. There. So that's a lot of decimal points. We don't need it. So I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to start taking them away. Doesn't really matter where we stop because we're doing it based on rank order. Okay, we don't get a total for that because it's just sort of a number. So what I do now is I highlight the data. You see how I've highlighted it, but not the total. And then I go up to data and I go sort. And I want to sort it by RPN, highest to lowest, largest to smallest. Okay, so here's our first, here's our second, here's our third. Now, from a Pareto perspective, we only have 3 things, and we can see that 1/3 of the plants represent 62% of the total paid and 66%. So, oh, and now did that change? This doesn't work anymore. I'll take it out. Here, I'm going to kind of show you what this means. So, from a Pareto perspective, if we did 1 divided by 3, which is 1 plant divided by 3 options, that's 33%. So we're already above the 20% that we use as an initial consideration for Pareto. So I'll say top 1. But the thing is, it's just, the top 1 is just this stuff. So drag it all the way down to here. And so I have to re-enter this stuff, set up the units. We'll do the percentages first. And then we can do this. So typically you don't have this few categories, because if we were to do 2 divided by 3, I'll change that into percent in a second, and do top 2, what do we get? Equal the top 1 plus the second one. I mean, what we're trying to do is trying to identify a cutoff, and the cutoff is when this number and this number is 80. As you can see, it's considerably higher than that, but so is the 66%. So from a Pareto perspective, what we're doing right now is not very valid, but we're going to be reporting it nonetheless. We are going to focus on plants, on the 2 plants. We're probably going to break down our investigation into those 2 plants, but what we're doing right now is we're just seeing what they represent. Okay? And that's with outliers, if you'll recall. So if we were to do true Pareto ratio, we would just be looking probably at the top one. But the top two, obviously, we've got a majority of things identified here, but we don't have the 20%, it's 66%. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this with the outliers removed. Let's center this real quick. So the comments I want you to put on here is that, yeah, if, one, we focus, but we're going to focus on both plans. They're separate. So really, it's going to come down to policy class code. And you know what? We could go ahead and build that right now. Because what I can do is show you how to do the, what's it called? The pivot tables. Pivot tables, yes. So for pivot tables, we need to create a base set. Since we're not doing the things we had added per se, you know what? No, I'm going to use the descriptive stats. So I'm going to copy, create a new tab. All I need to do is get rid of the stuff down below. All we want is the data. I'm just going to highlight this and do all of this here. Oop, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to delete the whole thing. So we just want a clean data set with no analysis in it. Okay, everybody? That's what we have now. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to Insert, and we're going to go to Pivot Table. Click on it. Oh, okay. I was hoping this window would come up. It basically highlighted the data, and we're going to go in a new worksheet, so we're going to hit OK. A new page comes up. And now what it wants us to do is to populate it. I'm going to keep this very, very simple for you. Whatever you put in for the row, that's what it'll sort it by. And so we're currently interested in class code. Bring it down here. And if I wanted to count them, I could do something like ID. Oh, it does sum of ID. We want it to do count of ID. So if I go value settings and go to count, there's the breakdown. But all I'm using pivot tables for is to capture what's in that. This is just sort of a bonus. I mean, here's the thing. I could also put in like total paid total as values. And you see here are the numbers. So I have an idea of what it would be, but you can't really do calculations on this page because look, if you click on here, oh, those are numbers. Usually they're equations. Anyway, this is what it's going to be. And so I'm going to call this sheet my pivot table results, and this is my pivot table base. I'll be deleting them later. I don't really need them. It's just to set things up. So now we're doing class code. So what I do is I go copy, and I need to find where I was working. There we go. So I will put a couple spaces here and hit paste. So here are my here's my class codes. I'll write in class codes. And then everything else is the same here. We're going to do everything the same. Copy, paste. Okay, try that again. Copy, paste. Bold, are all these 10s? Yes, they are. Sometimes what I do is I wrap the text. Sometimes that makes it look better. Let's try that. That didn't change it. All right, so I'm gonna turn these into Arial. I always try to keep the font the same. If you guys see, I'm doing housekeeping as I go. Yeah, okay. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're doing a total. Can close all of those. All right, so now what is our class code? Which row is it? Really would have been nice if we could have used occupation, but there's a lot missing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I'm over 20, and that's over 10%. So column O is our class code. So column O. Everything else is the same. Make you small. Here's the thing. We can copy and paste what we have up here because it's essentially the same. I'm going to go copy and I'm going to go paste. Now here's what I need to do. I need to change the B to O. So I'm going to change this B. I'm going to hit delete and hit O. I'm going to delete this one and hit O. I'm going to hit return. Equal sum 205. And click this down, and I've got 100%. So the same thing up here. We got to change the B to O. All right, return. Click this, drag it down. Click this, drag it over. Add it up. Center it, drag this over. Now, do these numbers match? They do. Click this, drag it down. Do we get 100%? We do. Average claim, bring it down. Is this the same as this? Yes, it is. Make sure that this is still doing it correctly, and it is. Click and drag it down. And we do the same thing. We highlight our data. We go data sort. We're doing RPN. Oh, sometimes what it does is it drops it down. Did you see that? So now what I have to do is I have to sort it by column Z. I hate it when it does that. I don't know why. Sometimes it does it, sometimes it does. Largest to smallest. Okay, here's our ranks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, center that. Okay. So let's do our Pareto. We're not going to just do the top one. Our top one is 56%. And 49%. We're going to at least do top two. Top two. What is our top two? Equals 2 divided by the total, which is 7. So we're at 28%. We want the the 80-20 thing, but we got 28% here. So let's do the top two. Equals this one plus this one. You could also do sum if you wanted to figure that out. All right, let's see what this is. 71%. 81%. So we've got our Pareto right here. We really don't need to go any further right now. This is it's supposed to be currency. What we're doing is we're figuring out the cutoff point. And I think we got it on the first try. That's pretty rare. Usually you have to go. So I think what the cause is we'll be able to go further with it. But we've got our Pareto. We're going to focus on the top two. So these two class codes represent 81% of everything. We might want to consider what's here to see if it's unique. I mean, if I was to do a top three, this is how you do the Pareto ratio, and then you report it. What is it? It's 3 divided by 7. So it's considerably higher. It's double what we'd want for the initial. But add these up, and then I have to turn them into percentages. And you kind of see what the difference is, right? And currency. So I still think the top two is good enough, but if you wanted to, you probably want to report what this is. Same as I did the 1 and 2. I did the 2 and 3 here. And this is all ranked order. Now, we want to see what this looks like with the outliers removed. Well, first, save your work. Because we're starting week 3, I'm going to change this to week 3. And now what we're doing is priorities. It's our priority analysis. I don't know why. like that at all. I'm going to get that out of there. Where am I saving it? Under users. Make sure I save it in the right spot. Spring work. Save it here. Okay. Okay. Now we're good. So now what we want to do is copy this to a new tab. And I'll blow this up so you can see it a little bit. We're going to turn the header row into a filter. And we're going to sort it by total paid, high to low, largest to smallest. Here are the outliers. They bubbled up to the top. We're going to highlight the rows, hit a Control X, that means cut. Drag it down here. And I'm going to paste. Control V to paste. So my outliers are down below. What's beautiful is everything has been updated. So now here is the new updated with the 189. Here's the 205. Again, 189. Here are the new totals. I can check it. 410, 689. Where is the total? 410, 689. 2173, 2173. I can compare to right here, the total, 89, 95, 408, 2173? 2173, yeah, 2173. For some reason, 2173. Yeah, it all matches. Everything matched up. Did our risk priority numbers change? That's the question. Let's check first up here. Because we did two analyses in one, instead of plant, I'm going to put in here plant and class code. And maybe let's just do plant, class code, outliers included, and then I'll do with remove. You can put that whatever you want. I don't actually like that. I may change it. I'll think about it. But we've got the outliers removed. We have different totals. Go back over here. So now we have to change a few things. So as you can see, the total does not equal 100%. It equals 92.2 and it equals 31.4. I'm not going to change that. It doesn't really matter because essentially the stuff is here. It's just we're prioritizing it with the big expensive stuff. So it mostly impacts the total paid. So if I look over here at the RPN, it didn't change. It still has the same rank order, but we have different amounts. That's what it means. That's really all it means. So this didn't change much. If we wanted to see the representative percentage, we could go equal. We click on the amount and we divide it by the new amount. And I think all I have to do is get rid of a bunch of decimal points. So it's actually now representatively 65%. And before, what was it? It was 62%. Again, it's with outliers removed. We're still going to look at both of them. But that's how you do it. So down here, did this change? It did. So I'm just going to highlight the information. I'm not going to change the rank. I want to see what it originally was and how much it changes. So I'm going to go data and I'm going to go sort. And I'd like to sort by RPN, high to low. So it didn't change much. It looks like this one jumped up here. But if we want to know what the representative is, we take the percentage. Again, it's a percentage of a percentage. And so if we divide it by the new total, we get a more representative. I'm going to see what this next one is too. Get a twofer on this one. And we'll get rid of the decimal points. All right. So 61 and 8. So again, I think the top two I think is still justified because it's 61.3 before it was. Oh, 8 is 81 before. So obviously the top two had a considerable amount of the outliers, which, kind of is what we'd expect, right? If we did the top three, we'd actually be at that Pareto, but we're still looking at 42%. So I think we maybe but didn't it change? Because this is 4484. What was it before? 4243, which means that 4243 also has an outlier in it. So it jumped down. So this is plant class code outliers removed. So this is what we're going to do also for the causes. All we're trying to do is plant-wide, where is our Pareto ratio? And what that means is businesses will use the Pareto ratio, the 80-20 rule, for many different things, like what's costing us the most, what's producing the most, where's the quality issues, all these things. And so safety can do it too. And what we're doing is essentially identifying, out of all the things that have, resulted in a work comp claim, where is the greatest frequency, where is the greatest cost, and when we cross-reference those for a ranking, we then can run a Pareto ratio in order to get the biggest bang for our buck. That's really what it comes down to, is prioritizing based on what is, causing, what has resulted in the most number of claims for us. Again, if it's applied to other things, it would be a little bit different. So that's really it for this video. In the next video, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the same tables as they were for the cause and detailed cause. It'll get a little more interesting because there are more categories from which they spring. Let's fix this. These will have to be saved as tables, pretty looking tables, and these are sort of the Pareto analyses. And you'd want to explain this stuff. That's all I want to cover for this one. In the class this week, both classes, we're going to talk more about what it means and how to make it look pretty and how to transfer it over to the assignment.